Hey everybody, good morning. Goose leading up the team here, coming out strong on front. Oh, everything looks sparkly. I gotta clean my glasses real quick. Morning David, morning Mark, morning Larry, Ben, Valerie, JB, Dex, John, Muku, Donald, and scroll down. Alan, Francois, Sergio, Craig, Tao. Morning. I don't recognize your name. Welcome to the stream. Um, I'm not even sure how to say your name exactly, but welcome. Don't recognize you, and welcome to the group. Wrongimer, have fun working on Teslas, my man. Darren, Ryan, PD, Sledge, good morning. Penny, Maurizio, Ted, Al, Michael, Prayful, good morning, everybody. If you want to chat with me like all these awesome folks right here on the stream, click the button right over here. Be a subscriber. A few seconds later, once you're a subscriber, the chat becomes active. You can say hey while I'm live. But once I'm no longer live, you're going to have to leave a comment down below if you want to talk to me. Or come join us in Discord, which the link is in the description down below. You click the little more button and expand it out. While you're down there, you might as well click the bell with the notifications, like turn on the doodads, all notifications. And if this is something that YouTube thinks you'll watch again, then you'll get notifications when I go live. Hey, Chris. And as always, if I say anything during the stream that you liked, give me a like, give me a thumbs up. And anyway, let's get her at her. And look at this. This just happened just a little bit ago. This is a crypto stacks hitting the target. You may be like, JT, you didn't talk about this on YouTube. No, I talked about this in Crypto Power Plays, but that one worked. It's the pattern right there. Boom, right up to it. Beautiful trade. Almost I think it was right at a double. So 100% gain. Beautiful right there. And that was actually trading crypto. That's not like some other stuff. I don't actually trade crypto, but the Crypto Power Plays I trade crypto, and beautiful trade. Nice. Now that we're at the 1272, kind of expect a retrace. It could extend up to $2 and this 215, 216, 220 area, but it's kind of played out at this point. So anyway, moving on. Glad to have everybody. I brought some stuff to talk about, but before we get there, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. I may never get another one of these things right again, but I get lucky a lot. Got lucky on stacks. I don't know. This presentation, intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining, is not a recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument. All right? Don't buy stocks, don't buy options, don't buy Forex, don't buy cryptos, don't buy futures, don't buy bonds, don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. You can and probably will lose some money if you trade. At one point or another, we all get it wrong. It's not about being wrong. Being wrong, we're all wrong some point or another. I mean, it happens. Even for those of us that are always right, we're wrong sometimes. It's not about being wrong, but it's staying wrong that costs you that money. Being wrong, just when you realize you're wrong, close that trade. If you stay wrong, that's where the big money starts eating you. Don't stay wrong. If you desire personal financial advice, you got to hire and consult a financial advisor. Has a fiduciary duty to give you advice based on your financial situation, which is not me. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just a dude sharing what I'm doing. And I get lucky a lot because maybe I figured a little something out in the market. So anyway, let's talk about some of the stuff I brought. Anybody see that door pop off a Boeing 737 MAX over the weekend? Friday night, I guess. Alaskan Airlines taking off from Ontario, about 10 minutes into the flight. Boom, the door blows off, and it was a brand new jet, apparently. Not too good. FAA grounds all of the 737s, and, Boeing stock's on the list for one of the biggest losers, so we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Some of the other stuff popping up, algos set to go short. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I guess Speaker, what's his name? Speaker Johnson, House Speaker, says he's got a deal in principle for $1.66 trillion bipartisan package. We'll see if they can actually pass that. Wait a minute. $1.66 trillion? Are you kidding me right now? That's how much it costs to run the government for a year? I mean, come on now. That seems a little excessive. A little excessive here. A little bit excessive. But, I guess they're going to take some cuts off the IRS, take $21 billion away from the IRS's $80 billion expansion, some $16 billion cut. I mean, what the heck? It's like we're pinching pennies to blow out 1.66 trillion. I mean, come on. But maybe they can get this passed to avert a government shutdown. I don't know. We've only got a couple weeks left, and we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Johnson writing that this was the most favorable budget agreement the Republicans have achieved in over a decade. That's pretty sad. But sounds like they're spending a bunch of money that we don't have. Deficit hitting $32 trillion just after the beginning of the year. So this is all gonna, some point we're gonna pay the piper. So spending money we don't got doesn't fix the budget, right? As long as we're going further in the hole. I mean, you can't borrow yourself out of debt. That's a problem. And then look at this. Speaking of borrowing yourself out of debt, the California State Teachers Retirement System, whatever that is, CalTERS, borrowed $30 billion, about 10% of its portfolio, to keep itself solvent. That's a heck of a loan for a retirement system. And sounds like a problem. They're seeing office real estate down 20% in value, causing this crunch in their cash. They've got to pay out to teachers that have retired, and they're betting on that. Somebody we know has been talking about CRE for a while. I think all of last year, pretty much, maybe all the way back to 2022, I've been talking about CRE and the coming problems. Well, here's one. They're getting caught. So, horrible mismanagement. That's right, Goose. But still, like, it seems like a horrible decision, right? You're playing with people's retirement money. You're going to borrow 10%. Usually, this is the funny part down here. They do operate with 4% leverage, typically, but now they're gonna up that to like 14% with the borrowing. I don't know. Don't borrow money and trade. That's like rule number one, right? Don't ever borrow money you can't afford to lose. Don't ever trade with money you can't afford to lose. That's in the warning, right? That's in right there. Yeah. Borrowing money and getting to a point where you have to trade, you have to make it. I don't know. That real estate down 20%. It makes up about 17% of the portfolio. That's a problem. That's a problem. And this CRE thing it's not over yet. And even residential real estate, RRE, it's not over yet. I was having a conversation with the realtor last night, and she was like, "There's going to be a problem." And she's like, "I think it might be about 5 years out." And we talked about the rental bubble and all sorts of stuff, and she agreed. There's a problem. It's a brewing. And she's like, our local area, we're maxed out. Like you can't buy houses for what they're going for, and be able to make the payments on them by renting them for the rate that people want. Like, there's not renters that can afford the payments. It's just not the way it works. And it's a problem. It's a real problem. And so between CRE, RRE, things we might see another, maybe it's a rental bubble. Maybe it's just the interest rate bubble that we created by having the fastest rate raises in history. Now, back to the algos I was mentioning at the start here. Look at that. Here's my Bank of America projections, the ones I love the most. And bear case 5-day projection. That's a big liquidation projected in there. So if we get any kind of bearish action, even the neutral case over here on the NASDAQ, see the purple sticking out right down there? That's a purple liquidation. Careful. We do have some purple up here too, so it's like spike and drop. I don't know. Even the bull case just kind of churning. So we're not seeing any kind of big up on algos. Fits in my narrative. Be careful. Be careful out there. So, all right. Moving on. Welcome, everybody. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. Hit the button over there. And you can chat with me on the live stream like Goose and Rongamer and Pat and Muku and Terrence and all the other awesome people on the stream right now. S&P. I don't like that S&P chart. Let's go to this S&P chart. And you know what? There's a lot of crap on this chart. Let's just clean her up, Buttercup. Let's just delete a bunch of lines. Maybe like, holy moly, Jeffrey's cleaning up the chart. At this point, let's even take that off at the moment. Let's talk about where we are. We did a 3-day market roadmap bounce. This was straight up pure market roadmap, right down to the 3-day market roadmap bounce, right up to the 1272. Didn't even slow down. That was the resistance to clear. Talked about it ad nauseum for months, pretty much. We hit the 1272. Now, where are we likely to go? I've drawn a few things on here. Let's just clean them off real quick and make it all, clean as possible here. We have a few scenarios. We're sitting right there at the 1272. That was 70% likely. We bounced. We came up past the 618, the 61.8%, retrace there. Once we cleared that, 70% likely we were going to that 1272. 40% likely we make it to the 1618 without coming back to the roadmap line. And that would be it could be the daily. That's usually the time frame I'm playing on. But this is a 3-day. So, interestingly enough, that 618 level, that was resistance going up. We had trouble there, had 1-day pause on the way up. That is right where the daily roadmap line is hanging out right now. Right there. So, couple, the scenarios here. We either churn sideways for a while and then pop the 1618. 40% likely. Still. So that's scenario one. That would kind of suck to go sideways for a month or more and then just churn. I think that would kind of suck. I don't like churning sideways. Makes it incredibly hard to trade. Scenario two, we retrace to about 4,600, the breakout point, the high from July. And then we bounce up and hit the 1618. That's scenario two. Scenario three was we just pop it now, but we are churning, so we didn't pop it now. Like that one's kind of not on the table at the moment. We could just do it, but at this point we're churning. Now the other scenario is that this doesn't hold right here, and we go retrace back down here, somewhere around 4,500, maybe as low as 4,400. 44, 45. 45 is that 50% retrace. 4,400 is that 618 retrace. And that's, that was, you see, I had an orange band there and an orange band there. And that's a support zone now. You know, it was resistance going higher, but now it's support. You can see S&P kind of ran out of juice a little bit once it got through that. Stalled at the breakout and then popped it. Now, things look a little different on the candle chart, but this is a simplified chart based on closes. All right. Look, just a tiny bit different. Very similar, but a tiny bit different because we haven't actually made a higher high than we made back here on the S&P 500. We did that on NASDAQ, but we haven't done that on the S&P. Now, some other things that have me very concerned are the fact that we have stayed up above 80 for about as long as we're pushing the maximum amount of time that we typically spend up here. 33 bars. We're 22 bars right now. So another 10 or 11 trading days, and then we've pretty much hit the maximum. So we're getting into the upper end of the time that we usually spend above 80 before we get a substantial retrace. And you may be like, what the fudge is S5FI? That's S&P 500 stocks above their 50-day moving average. All right. Right now we have 87.47% of them up here above their, that's above the 80. This is like the giant market oscillator, if you will. We typically don't hang out at extremes where a whole lot of them are above their 50-day moving average or a whole bunch of them are below the moving average. When you've got 80% of them below the moving average, 20% above, that's an extreme on the downside. When you've got 80% of them above the 50-day moving average, that's an extreme on the upper side. We typically this is like a giant market oscillator, if you will. Now, do I play it? Do I go short? No. I just know this is like a take profit for me, and this is a go shopping. Look for bargains. When we're down here, go bargain hunting. Up here, lighten up. All right? So, watch out. And then, as Goose says, SVXY, well, we haven't really popped VIX. VIX did climb a little bit, kind of churning a little bit, but we haven't popped it. Haven't gotten, typically, we don't go a long time before we see a pop between 15 and 20. We can go way on back. After COVID, it spent a long time elevated, well above 50. Go back to before COVID times. We don't typically hang out a long time before we get a pop between 15 and 20. It's not the way VIX works. We typically get a spike that pops up between 15 and 20. There's something makes the news, something freaks everybody out, something happens. We get a spike. Prudent traders may go out March, April, buy some VIX near the money, maybe slightly out of the money. We're likely to get a pop up there between 15 and 20 at least. Could it go higher? Sure. And, get a little extra freak out. Now, is it guaranteed to work? No, it's a hedge. You could also go buy 3% down. You can buy some puts, 3% down on the S&P. Maybe what's 3% down? Well, and I'm just talking about potentials here because look what we did. We did this massive rally. Buying puts 3% down could cover you for one of these big flush out events. 3% down isn't even that far. Talking about something right around 45.60. That's above what I've been talking about. So you could buy a put out, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, 3%. If we get a flush, you liquidate it. Like as soon as we get a big flush, you just clear off of it. And these are just ways to ways to protect your portfolio. All right. These aren't trades necessarily. These are hedges. These are like, what happens if something bad happens that we don't really foresee in the market? Haven't had any of that in a little while. So, even though we've pulled back a little bit, got below that low from back there in December before Christmas, we're just kind of hovering. Do we retrace a little bit and then drop more? Maybe. Moving on down the time frame. This is what I was discussing last week. We went a little lower. Right now, a 618 retrace off that high from December 28th to this low on Friday. Roughly 4750 on the S&P 500 cash index. If we pop up and retest that, the lower we go, this keeps dragging this down. If we make lower moves today, keep dragging this down, and that number keeps going lower. Right now, that's resistance, all right? If we pop up and test that, do we break through? If we do, we're probably going on up. Probably coming up to 48.24, maybe even 48.62. If we reject it, we're probably going down. At the minimum, we'd probably be going down the size of this first move right here, right off of that bounce point. So at this point, could take us just down to 46.30. Now, we could get an extension, and it could go even deeper. But that's what we got right now, that potential. So right there's a key point. If we just keep bleeding off a little bit, we'll extend this down further. And that makes this, moving the wrong line. This line would extend down wherever we make that low. Then we get the 618 bounce. And we could go lower. So at some point, we could get a big, a little bit more volatility where we drop more, pop, and then drop faster. So watching out. But that 618 is kind of the tell. If we get above it, probably going higher. If we bounce off of it, could be going lower. Like I got it drawn right over there. So, all right. ES overnight action. This started trading at 6 p.m. yesterday. If you're unfamiliar, this is the S&P 500 futures. They open at 6 p.m. on Sundays, 6 p.m. Eastern, and just kind of sideways, not breaking above that 30-minute roadmap line. Found resistance on Friday, just kind of consolidating, all inside Friday's action at this point. And nothing really popping out at me. This is all very overlapping, sideways. Just indicates we're still corrective. Probably still biased down right now. Imagine that. Everything just kind of coming together. Says we're probably going down. NASDAQ futures in Q. If you're not familiar, this is NASDAQ 100. Also sideways. Getting a little closer to that 30-minute roadmap line. On the daily, still looking like we need a bigger, deeper retrace. ES, just like the S&P on the daily, needs that bigger, deeper retrace. Just the same as what I've been talking about. And Russell needs a bigger, deeper retrace. Small caps. Oil, just churning. Not really going anywhere. Looks like Jeff thinks it's getting slammed. It just looks like it's churning in the range that we've been in for a while. I mean, just churning. We popped up, came right back down, have been unable to break above. At this point, we made a little channel, kind of channel-y looking thing. Support right there, resistance right here. It's not breaking out, not doing anything. Glanced off of that, lower high, bias down. We may be heading down for a final flush out. May need a touchdown in the 60s. Could be 65, could be 62, 63. We'll see. Marvel crossing the 618. Oh, look at that baby go. Trying to break out. Look at this. It's a roadmap line bounce. Potential 73, 80 on the upside. Nice. Nice, nice. Gold getting slammed a little bit. Probably come back to the roadmap line. Breaks below that trend line. Remember what I said last week. We get below that trend line right there. That's uptrend, connecting those two lows. If we get a close down in here, watch out. You know, it'll probably bounce back up, retest before it actually drops out. It may do a, and if we just get a rejection and a close up here, could have just been a test. So be careful jumping on it till we get confirmation that we're below that trend line. BTC actually started rallying. I started out kind of bearish last night on the futures restart. Why do I use futures? Because, well, CME actually certifies the price of Bitcoin futures. Whereas, although, you know, I don't know if you knew this, but 683 exchanges, they're all islands. Like, they all have independent prices. There's some arbitration between them, but there's no centralized hub that certifies any kind of price between exchanges. So if you see a quote on Bitcoin's price, where did it come from? What exchange? All right. There's no unified certified price for Bitcoin. I use the futures because that kind of, they do have a centralized price. Like all the futures are tied to this. All right. So I just kind of use that. Now we break out here. We could see a pop. We likely have an ETF approval either today, tomorrow, or Wednesday. Certainly by the 10th, we're going to get some kind of news. Approval or denial. We're going to find out what happens. It's coming. This is probably going to get a little spicy. We could have a sell the news. It could drop from whenever this ETF approval thing happens. You know, big blue line on the 10th. We could get a drop all the way through halving, even past halving. It could last for 6 months past halving. And then we're likely to do the halving run at some point and go for the targets that are way on up here. Could we get a crazy super squeeze thing? Supply shock? Yeah, we could. But be careful. I think we can see a sell the news flush out. Ethereum looking a little more bearish. Still been trying to break below that trend line, similar to gold. Pushing back up higher today, retesting. If we reject that and start down, watch out. We could go down a long way. Ethereum has a very bearish pattern set up right now. Gives me a lot of concern. If they can break out and save it, it's going to take a move up through 3,400 to actually kind of get this bearish pattern cleared up and out of here. That's a long way up from 2,300 for Ethereum. So very concerned about Ethereum. It has a very bearish pattern set up right now, and we could see a flush out while Bitcoin and other crypto rallies, and that would be a shocker for a lot of people. Maybe foretelling that something's wrong in the Ethereum world, or people got some doubts, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Dollar just kind of churning, dropping a little bit. Do kind of expect this to move on up. At this point, I'll have to watch for a 618 retrace. Support will be right here at 618 level. Could see dollar drop down there. If it holds that, turns higher, probably coming up to the roadmap line. Right up there. If we get below that, 618 level, starts tipping the odds that we're going on down 99 area. Probably. Right down in there. Funny enough, we don't have to bounce off the roadmap line. We could just, that could be it. And we push on down. Lower high. Could have just been a bounce off that trend line of highs at this point. Could have just rejected there, bounced down. And for stuff actually moving, INSP below the roadmap line, med tech stuff. Be careful. That's a downtrend. Bouncing off the bottom. We could see another move down. Right here. Kind of bounce at the 50. If we get below that 618 level, watch out for an extension lower down to 100. And AMAM, biopharma, another medtech, biotech. Be careful. Right there. Just sideways. That way, yeah, it's way up there, but just sideways. I was like, it popped off the screen, but that can retrace all the way back down very quickly. Might be a buyout. Yeah, buyout. So nothing to do on buyouts. AXNX. Yeah. These things just, they don't follow the pattern. That's why I usually say be careful. I talk about them because they're moving for the day, but HARP, there's another therapeutics, biotech, medtech, big pop, and no news on that one, but maybe side effect of the AXNX is a buyout. Yeah, that's what I said. A little bit, y'all are running a little behind. HARP buyout, yeah. MSTR popping up on Bitcoin, but watch out for the retrace to the roadmap line. That exceeded targets. So at this point, we've been fully cooked. Looking for that retrace. One time or another, we're likely to come back. Blasted the target. Exceeded. Could go higher. Highly likely, not highly likely to come back down to the roadmap line, do a retrace. If we do that, it sets up new targets. So at this point, no high probability trade to do. ASML looks like it's going to bounce. Do we bounce off the roadmap line or do we bounce up here at this higher level? Let's see. I think that's probably the 382. A little bit shy of the 382. That's actually a 1, 2, 3, 4 potential continuation. And yeah, that'll get an extension. We might make it to the target. And it's gonna take a move to the 800. Set my alert right there. I'm actually long this with a share. One share. Bought it right here, so I'm just above water. See what happens. Looks like it's going to go up for the 5th wave move. Then we could get a deeper retrace. I'll probably pop right up in this zone, right up near 800. And then if we do that, we may get a retrace back down to here like that. Then a bigger bounce. Watch out for now I got the 382 turned on. Turn it back off. And watch out for resistance at that 618 level. Right there at 738. Right there. Could turn down and make the second move. So that's the resistance point going higher here. If we break out, we're probably going on up. 781, possibly 804. Done the other way, that 800 level. So somewhere right around here. I did that all crooked. Somewhere around there would be a target for this last move before we get a bigger retrace. Crocs. A nice pop up to the roadmap line. High to low, 618. Right at that trend line. Watch that resistance. If we can get through it, it can turn the tide up. This did hold. Looks like it held a 618 down here too. Yeah, look at that. Found support at the 618. Find a resistance at the 618. It's a key resistance, support and resistance level. So if we can get above that zone, this thing could go on up. I'm cautious that we turn down and go down further. Well, we did hit the target. This could be the reversal and going higher, but I'm not convinced. We didn't hold the breakout before. Rejected. It's not usually the most bullish thing. CRWD. That one could push on higher. That could be all the retrace it needed. We're sitting at that 618 retrace. That one could turn down. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. 267, 275 on the upside if we get above that little consolidation there, which, it's not, there's not a lot to work with here on this chart where we spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days kind of going sideways, and a couple days before we popped that high. Get above that, so up above 258, we could see an extension up to 267, maybe 275. SMCI, super micro, just churning in that, just been sideways churn. Can we break out? Do we break down? That 618 has been holding his resistance. Held right there, held right there, held right there. We're back at it again. It looks like it needs a bigger, deeper retrace, but doesn't have to. It can just this grind sideways, like I was talking about. We could do on the S&P 500. We could just grind sideways and then pop a new high. Boots. I was talking about that on Friday, and back on the list today. Still bearish. Still big picture bearish too. That could get a 618 retrace at this point before it could pop up to 90. Could pop back up there. If it meets resistance there, watch out though, because that'd be like a 1, 2, and we could get a big down. Could go way on down. Coin. Yeah, it looks like it wants to come back to the roadmap line, or at least back to the breakout. Come back and retest. I may reload. I've got my alert right there at 120. May reload if we do that retrace. Dash, DoorDash popping up, but yeah, that's the classic pattern. Look, I drew it. Came up a little shy of hitting the 1618. We came all the way back, retested the breakout. Do we go up for the 1618? Do we go for a breakout? Do we go for an extension? Maybe. No high probability trade at this point until we get back to like the roadmap line. But that may go for an extension if you're still long. 106, maybe 120. Pretty nice. EMPH. That's a bearish move right there. Bouncing down. If we get below the 618, watch out below. ACON is just churning on the sideways. Downtrend. Looks like a reverse split. And 1 for 16. Ugh. Going on down in a blaze of glory. And FNGU found a little bit of support there. Probably should run the fib line a little different. Oh, hit my elbow on the desk. And we didn't really. That's probably going deeper. Hadn't really engaged with any fib lines so far. Probably coming down. I mean, we could go for an extension here. That's only 3-wave move, so be careful. We could come back to the roadmap line. Although it could be a nested windup. I don't know. Unclear on FNGU. It is a leveraged instrument, flipping back. That's 3x leveraged, and leveraged instruments, the reason I have this stamp right here is because they don't always follow patterns to the way you would expect. Dell is blasting on out, getting further targets. Guess we actually should pull this up here, do that retrace. 78, possibly 81 on this move before we come back and test the roadmap line. AMD might go on a little extension there. Came back, held the breakout. Could go fully test the 1618. Could go on an extension. 172, 183, maybe. I'm kind of thinking we're topped out. 150 was the target I had for a long time. We hit it. Now I got to wait for the retrace to find any more trades on AMD for me. Or it's got to set up something new, which it's going to need a deeper retrace to set up anything new for me. AEO, there's just limited opportunity. It's like risk versus reward. The risk of a deeper pullback is not worth it to me compared to the potential small upside gains that you could potentially get. So could it extend? Sure. I mean, it could do something crazy and irrational, but I'll just, there's better opportunities for my money, better uses. AEO, I mean, that was a nice move. Right up to 1272, back to the 100, and we may extend out to 22 area, 2275. REGN, Biotech Pharma, right up to the targets. They may retrace to the roadmap line. I don't know. That high. I mean, sometimes they do, though. I do have a bigger target up here, too, than 1060. This is like a blue cap pharma. We can see that push right on up into that 1070 area. That's based on this bigger. Make that move up, echoed off of that. Just taking a while. Took a long while. BA. Well, guess what happens when a door flies off a plane? Now, here's the spooky part. I drew that arrow on here before. And I drew that orange box on here before. I didn't know a door was going to fly off a plane. So, it's somehow, some way, subconsciously, we created this situation where the stock drops. Put that in your brain and think about it a while. We started rolling over and needed the deeper retrace. Do we come on down to the roadmap line? Do we come on down to my ideal target? Hey, sometimes you get lucky. Spooky, like when you start really kind of thinking about it. Like the chart was rolling over already, topped out. I said we need a bigger retrace. I mean, it really messes with your mind. Like it messes with my mind. I mean, I still expect it to drop on down. And we'll see. Could be a big, deep, fast retrace, and then we could go up substantially. So I think there's further downside to go before we bounce. But yeah, we do have support at the roadmap line. If that doesn't hold, we could go down right there. This was a 5-wave move up. It would be classic to retrace back down to the 618 before we make the next move. And 5 below. 5 below, coming back to the roadmap line. That's just a sideways churn at this point. Couldn't even make the prior high. Is this the windup before the breakout? I don't know. If we test the roadmap line, break back above the 618, around 207, we could get the extension 224, 234. Lulu, me and Lulu don't always get along, especially if I trade it. Looks like it's going to come back to the roadmap line. That was a heck of an extension off of that last move. Pretty good. Right up to the 2618. That took a lot of power out of the market. So watch out for a deeper retrace there. CYTK. Ridiculous. MedTech. I don't know what the deal is here. Watch out for that one. Things that do these crazy moves from 30 to 80, 90 tend to come back unless there's a buyout. So watch out. Watch out. SPR needs to hold that. Otherwise, we're coming on down. Baidu. I'm still long. Still waiting on that one to break out. Has beautiful potential. It's just churning right under the roadmap line. Get above it. Game on. Long-term trade. PDD. Just churning at the top. May go sideways until we meet the roadmap line. Nothing really changed there. NetEase is under the roadmap line. Watch out for support down here. ZIM. ZIM. The list was long today. Watch out for a bounce off the roadmap line and a further decline. USO. Stepping back off that oil pullback. Not breaking out yet, but it has potential. There's potential brewing in this chart. Just clear everything. That move up. Look at this hanging out right here. Even if we push down to the 76, this is looking like something that can get going here. We'll probably push up like somewhere, even if we bottom down here, we'll probably push up into this area. Probably in there. Then we'll get another 618 retrace. Back down here, hold the higher low. And then we could get a outsized move up. LABU. Yeah, watch. I mentioned that one probably it's going to drop, find resistance at that trend line. Biotech Pharma. Biotech's kind of on the downward go there. Reverse split. I mean, this is like combining a bunch of stuff that is gnarly. Watch out for that one to continue down the toilet. XOP. Sideways on oil at this point. GLD getting smacked down a little bit on gold. Like I mentioned, if you want to know where GLD is going, just look at the GC chart. Gold futures. This one stops trading at night, whereas GC keeps going. Only closed on Saturday and half a Sunday. So we break down. Watch out below. GLD's going with it. And wrapping it up, ALK. When one of the doors flies off your plane, tends to be Not the most bullish thing, but hey, it's Boeing's fault, not Alaska's fault, right? So watch for that one to hold this trend line. Is the trend line down here? I don't know. So far, I'm going to go with that, roughly. If we can hold that trend line, break back above this high right here, it's game on. Yeah, there you go. Even though they had a little, they were on the biggest loser list, they're got potential to break out and go. Funny enough, doesn't look as. I mean, that's bearish, but it's holding that higher low and turning green. Like that's actually looks like could be making a bottom here. Interestingly enough. All right, buys for the day. I've got to wrap this baby up. I got some things got to do. Got the fib class for those that bought it. The actual big fib class, not the market math class that was free last week. That's coming up at 11. Got the in-person event coming up on Thursday, Friday this week, which if you're in the Turnmeyer Trading Labs VIP group, hope to see you. We'll try to do some virtual stuff for those that can't come be in person, but and if you're interested in all this stuff, there's a link in the description. You just click the more button, like $5 to get started with me and go further. So hope build some trust. If I've said anything you like here today, give me a like button, thumbs up. And bias for the day is watching that 618 resistance. If we're gonna get some continuation higher, watching out for that 618 level. We got the roadmap line right there, 30-minute chart. Haven't been able to break through it yet. If we do, probably find resistance at that 618, which at this point, look, it's right there at that prior high where we broke through the roadmap line. Weird how this stuff comes together in a confluence. If we can get above that, flip my short-term expectation to bullish. If we reject, still expecting down. Now, a lot of these daily charts look better on all the indexes if we can go lower. But hey, when presented with information that it's like I said in the beginning, it's not about being wrong. That don't being wrong, you lose a little bit of money. Staying wrong, like if I stay biased for this big correction and the market tells me it's not going to do it, don't stay wrong. I mean, all right. So anyway, have a great day, everybody. I'll see you guys later. I can't read that. Ascore. Have a great day, everybody. Come watch me tomorrow. I'll be back. Same bad time, same bad channel. Tomorrow, 9:15. Going through the markets. Have a great day, everybody.